everybody! Welcome back to my channel!
Hey, beautiful, 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 beautiful angel. Love your imperfections, every anger.
Hey everybody, so welcome back to Kel's Place. So today's video, we're going to be talking more about my past retail experience. I know that sounds pretty boring, but I decided after uploading American Eagle, I just kind of wanted to talk about a couple more places I worked at, because I've worked for American Eagle. I've worked for retail for the last 5 years. It's been now a little bit over 5 years, and retail is kind of like my niche. Like, I love retail. It's who I am. I'm comfortable with it. I'm good with people. I've definitely had quite an experience with retail, and today this is probably gonna be my last talk on retail. I might do one more, but it probably will be later on. This will be the last one for now. So today I'm going to talk about my very first job in retail. In my experience, it was crazy. I'm going to be talking about my first job when I worked at Macy's. So Macy's was my first job. Also, before I start with that, just to update you guys on my training for American Eagle, everything is going pretty well. Training for American Eagle as a manager is actually pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty intense. I didn't even finish all of my training today. I had work this morning, so I actually have to continue more training until next week. And then after next week, I should be done with all of my training. And then after that, I'm just on my own. Anyways, you guys, so let's continue. So, my first job at Macy's. If you are applying for Macy's, or if you want to apply for Macy's, I encourage you to watch this video before you decide on whether to apply or to accept the job offer, or to think about if you want to quit, because I guarantee you this is a wild story, and it's a little too wild, and a lot of people will think that it's unbelievable, but let me tell you, it happened. I have my sources, I have witnesses, I have like 20,000 witnesses of what happened to me and my friends in Macy's. I'm obviously not going to give out the location of Macy's, of the one I worked at. You guys do know around the parts that I live, but there are several Macy's in the area that I live, so I am not going to point out the actual Macy's, just because I could get in a lot of trouble. Well, not really, I couldn't get in trouble, it's just expressing my opinion. I just don't want people to know what Macy's it comes from. So, my experience. Let's start from the beginning. I will kind of just jump to the very bad part, because honestly, everything was fine at Macy's. I'll just give a rough draft of my interview process and that'll be it. Just because, you know, it was an easy process. So I first applied for Macy's in March of 2014. So if you want to apply for Macy's, you go on Macys.com, you go to careers, you apply for what position they have available. I applied for a sales associate. So after about 2 days or 3 days, if Macy's likes what they see from an online application, they go ahead and email you and say, hey, we absolutely loved your application. Like, we want to continue forward with you. Please schedule a date for your Macy's interview. And then you schedule a date, and that'll be the date of your interview. Now, obviously, if you don't get it, then they'll probably send you an email saying, hey, like, sorry, like, you know, we've decided to go with other applicants at this time. So I made an appointment for my interview, which I went to a week later, I believe, something like that. My manager was named, let's call her Lisa. I absolutely love Lisa to this very, very day. She's an amazing lady. I will have always admired her. I still keep in contact with her to this very day. She's just amazing. So I have nothing bad to say about Lisa. So Lisa's the one who hired me. So I had my interview with her. I dressed really nice. Hey y'all, I'm back. Sorry about that, but my camera died. So I had to wait for my camera to charge. So anyways, you guys, what I was continuing from, so I set up my interview. I had it about a week later, a couple days or whatever, and I had it with Lisa, and Lisa was absolutely amazing. My interview process was super cool. I loved her. I loved talking to her. We talked for like an hour. Amazing, amazing lady. We had good conversation. This was my first job ever. I had no idea what retail was all about. I literally had no idea. All I knew was I wanted to work in retail as a part-time job in community college. And I was quiet, I was shy, I was not a people person. I mean, I was pretty energetic around people that I was comfortable with, but I wasn't energetic with like strangers. So I felt like maybe retail wasn't for me, but at that time I really needed a job and I really wanted money to go shopping and go trips with my friends. So yeah, Lisa loved me and she was just like, I want to hire you. And she's just like, but I don't think you're ready for a sales position yet. So her and the other manager talked, and the other manager came in and she interviewed me too. So I felt like when that happened, I felt like I was pretty close to getting the job. But they said that my schedule with my school was very inconsistent, and I had a really messy schedule that semester. So they said, you know, you're a little bit wishy-washy right now with your schedule. So they said, we're going to put you as a support associate. So I ended up getting a job as a fitting room associate. So I was the fitting room girl. So I was in charge of all the fitting rooms in the entire store. So I was literally like migrating from like department to department, fixing all of their go backs. Literally, like, that was my job. And at that time, minimum wage was insane for California. I was getting paid $8.50. $8.50. Those were the good old days, you guys, literally. So I was getting paid that much. They offered me the job. I took it. I was supposed to go back a few days later to start my training. The training was all videos for 5 days straight. It was all videos. And it was like 3 hours per day. It was insane. I hated the training. I did not like the process of it. I thought it was a little too much. I think I'm the type of person who literally has to have a person with me. I'm not going to learn anything by videos. I'm literally not going to learn anything by videos. Absolutely nothing. And I think that's kind of what frustrated me the most, because I did not get it. I did not get the register. I mean, even though they had like a register right there to practice with, I seriously did not get it. I was just like, I can't do this. I was just like, I do not know how to work this register. The videos didn't help me, but I finished my training anyway, just because I needed to get it done. And when I went onto the floor, I was so confused. But they said I wouldn't be on register because I was a support associate, but that's just in case like someone got busy and they needed me or something like that. And I was just like, okay, that's cool. So, because again, I was just a support doing mostly go-backs. So now we're going to get ahead to the bad stuff. I'll just talk a little bit about the good stuff right now. So 2 months later, I got promoted to a sales associate. My department was women's, and then towards the end of my Macy's journey, I was there for 1.5 years. During the last 6 months, I finally transferred to juniors, and that was the department that I really wanted to go to, was juniors department. So I was in women's and juniors, but if you know Macy's and if you don't know Macy's, you are allowed to pick up shifts as well. So they have a regular sales associate, which gets 20 hours a week. They have the 5-hour sales associate. So the 5-hour thing is where you're only scheduled 5 hours a week in your department, and you have to pick up everywhere else. So you can pick up in your own department, of course, or you can pick up in handbag department, jewelry department. That's when you were allowed to pick up shifts in jewelry. But not anymore. Now, it was fashion jewelry and fine jewelry, but now they've combined the two. And because I was not allowed to pick up shifts in the fine jewelry department at the time, but you were in fashion jewelry. But now that they've combined the both, you're not allowed to pick up shifts in the jewelry section anymore. From what I've heard from like old friends, like later on. So that's what I heard. So anyways, I got promoted 2 months later, and there you go. And that's when my Macy's journey started, pretty much. I felt like it really started when I started working for sales. So just a background, I met a lot of my friends there. Friends I'm not really friends with to this day, but I do keep in touch with them. So I do talk to them from time to time. They're all doing really well. But at the time when I worked at Macy's, they were literally like my best friends. Like, I love these people. Like, they were fun. We were wild. We were great together. These people were the best people. And that's what I loved about Macy's at that time in my location, because literally it was great and I felt so comfortable. I absolutely loved going to work. And I know a lot of people can't say that about Macy's, but I loved my job. Like, I loved the people. I loved the managers mostly. And it was just a really good experience in the very beginning of it, for the most part, till the very end, of course. But, and it was great. I really loved my job. I felt like I was the it girl because I was working as a Macy's girl. Like, I thought this was the job to have. Now that I'm older and now that I've worked at other places, Macy's is like the lowest of the lowest that you could have, like right with JCPenney. And it's no offense to people who do work at Macy's or JCPenney or like Ross, for example. It's just that they're department stores. And no offense, but I would not recommend you getting a department store as your first job. I would strive for the luxury brand. I would just go straight to it. Just try your best. But if you go to a department store, you get your experience there. So, I mean, I had an amazing experience, but I just thought at the time that Macy's was like the it kind of thing, like the it job. But now, like, I've worked at Francesca's, I've worked at Tory Burch, I've worked at Sunglass Hut, I've worked at David's Bridal, I've worked at Loft, and working at all those jobs made me realize Macy's is not a high-class place. Nordstrom is, but not so much Macy's. You can still get some pretty good bargains and some good deals. Obviously, they carry luxury brands in there, like Lucky Brand and Guess and stuff like that. It's just that Macy's is just a department store where it's just you know, a lot of the weirdos go there, crazy customers go there. You do have to deal with crazy customers. You will definitely get that at Macy's. It's a department store. It's what they're known for. But again, it's just, at the time, you know, it was just the it for me, but now it's not. I'm a manager at American Eagle now. This is an it job now. Of course, it's not like Tory Burch or like Loft or anything, but it's still a pretty good it brand, American Eagle. So what happened was, so now I've met all these great people and I've loved working there. I love my job, blah, blah, blah. Time has passed, everybody. Time has passed. Time has gone by. So let's see here. I started in April of 2014. So everything started coming down literally the week that it happened. So everything was great. I loved my managers. My managers loved me. There was one specific manager who hated me. Her name was, I don't know, let's just name her Sydney or something. Sydney was insane. She was a B. Like a B-I-T-C-H in capital letters, you guys. She was a bully. Everyone hated her. When I say everyone hated her, everyone hated her. Literally, no one liked this lady. Not even the managers really liked this lady. She was bossy. She was rude. She was a bully. She talked to you like you were 5 years old. No one respected her. I certainly didn't, and everyone did not like this woman. Everyone always had something to say about her. People had been turning her into HR for years. And of course, HR, as always, has the company's back. So they're not gonna rat on her, or they're not gonna like fire her. You know, obviously they're like, well, she's just being a good manager and blah, blah, blah. Like, thank you for your feedback, that kind of thing. If you're gonna complain in Macy's and HR, or pretty much any, well, especially Macy's, I can't speak for all companies, but if it's gonna be like for JCPenney or like Macy's or like Ross, good luck with that. HR ain't gonna do nothing, you guys. They're not gonna do nothing. They're gonna be against you. They're not gonna help you. If you have a complaint, they're not gonna help you. Unless it's serious. Obviously, if like you're assaulted or something, that's something completely different. But if you're having trouble with the manager, they are not gonna help you. If you're having trouble with an associate, they are not gonna help you. So we have been trying to turn in this lady for years. Like, well, for me for months, other people for years, and HR wasn't doing anything. So she was when I was in women's department, she was my boss, so she handled women's department. But when I transferred to juniors, she had it out for me. She was upset that I transferred to juniors, and she was mean to me since that day. She was rude to me. She would criticize my wardrobe. And then a friend of mine took a temporary supervisor who I was really good friends with, but then she became a B when she became a supervisor, so we weren't really friends anymore. So my friend would come up to me and be like, hey, like, just so you know, the managers are saying that they're having a problem with your wardrobe and that they're not liking what you're wearing to work. We're seeing like a constant problem with that. And I looked at her and I said, there is no problem. I dress fine. Like, I dress in black sometimes. Like, I work in juniors. Literally in juniors, you can wear whatever you want. So I was just like, I could wear whatever I want in juniors. You guys have told me that. I'm doing that. And I was just like, I can't. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I've already talked to the other managers about it. They were okay with it. I'm not going to listen just because of this woman doesn't like me. So I had problems with my friend in the end, and this woman. So, Sydney. So we have like those kind of things, but honestly, I just loved my job so much. I loved my friends at my job, but I started to notice that my friends were leaving. One by one, my friends were leaving, and I wasn't sure why. And they would literally walk out with not another word. And I started noticing that people were getting fired a lot, like a lot. A lot of my friends, a lot of people that I've seen around. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And I just thought, where is all these people going? Like, why are they leaving? Like, why would they leave Macy's? Like, this is the greatest job ever. You know, and I always defended Macy's. Always, always, always. So, what happened was, this is not emotional, but I'm gonna get a little angry because I still don't like talking about it. So what happened was I went to work one night. I had a closing shift from like 5 to 9:30 or something like that, and 9:15 or whatever. And I was working in the home department. And everything was good. I had been there for only an hour, literally only an hour. It was only like 6 or 7 o'clock, and the LP, now if you don't know what LP is, the loss prevention guys, they are the guys who catch the guys who are stealing. They are the ones who are in charge of firing people. So one of the LP guys that I knew, so he came over to me and he's like, hey, like, we need to talk to you. He's like, come to the back for a bit. And I was just like, hey, oh, I'm on my shift, dude. And he's like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna have this girl take over for you. And I was just like, okay, like, whatever. So I went to the back, and then it was him and his boss. I've seen his boss before, like the girl, like she was the manager of LP. Very nice. I've always complimented her. We've always talked. I've always really liked her personality, and I've always liked the guy. Like, he was great. He's always really nice to me too. They would always make conversation with me. So I sat down, and literally I was facing them. It was like literally an intervention, y'all. Like, an intervention. So the girl was just like, hey, like, how's it going? And I was like, good. And she's like, oh, just, you know, and we're just here to talk to you. And literally by that time, I knew something was wrong. I was shaking. I knew something was wrong. And I looked at them and I was like, you're scaring me. What's going on? Now, she said, no reason to be scared. It's just, you know, there has been something. I can't remember exactly what they said, but she said, she's like, it's our job to look into the sales associate's background, and we have cameras, and we know when an associate makes a mistake. We keep track of those records, and we could always backtrack the cameras and stuff like that. Now I was just like, okay, good for you. And she's like, we are here because of an incident that we have seen that's happened. And I was just kind of like, what the heck? And I was just kind of like, and then she's like, and we are here to ask you what you think you have done. And I was just like, and I was just kind of like, okay. And then she's like, you know, like, what have you done? Like, have you, like, shared a discount with a family member when you're not supposed to? Have you done something, an error in a transaction? Have you stole something? Have you stolen an associate's private property or something weird like that? And I was just kind of like, and I was a good person. I was a good associate. I was one of the best salespeople there, y'all. Literally, I was good. I was one of their best. And I was just kind of like, no. And I was just like, I can't think of any. And she's just like, no, you need to try harder. So I was just like, okay, like, that's cool. So literally, I kept thinking for like 5 minutes, what could I have done wrong in a transaction? And I was just kind of like, okay, like, a lady was returning something and I gave her a gift card when I should have put it back on her card. Technically, I guess we were not supposed to do that. If the person paid with like a certain card, you're supposed to give it on that card. But I gave it to them on a gift card because of some reason, like they preferred it that way. And I was just like, well, I gave a woman like her money back on a gift card. Is that something wrong? And she's like, oh, like, is there anything else? And I was just like, all right. And I was like, I guess I let my mom use my discount once. And I was just like, but that was it. It was just for a wallet. I'm like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And she's like, is there anything else? And I was just kind of like, no. I'm like, I found a bracelet once on the floor. And then I'm like, and I accidentally kept it. Backtrack. 2 months ago, I found a bracelet on the floor, a cheap looking bracelet, and I kept it. Well, I was gonna turn it to lost and found, and I put it around my wrist to remind myself, but it was so busy that day that I accidentally took it home with me. So I was just like, oh crap. And then I just forgot about it. Literally, my room is a mess, you guys. Like, I have no time for this. So I was just like, oh, she's like, what bracelet? And I was just kind of like, I'm like, it's just a bracelet. It's like a kid's bracelet. I'm like, it's not really a big deal. I just accidentally forgot to turn it into lost and found. Like, I put it around my wrist, and I forgot about it. I accidentally took it home, and I just forgot about it. My room's messy. She's like, okay, great. This is great information. Freaking B, I swear. And she was just kind of like, she's like, let me go call my boss. And she goes and calls her boss. I don't know who she was talking to. So she comes back, she's like, well, we've made a decision that you need to return the bracelet. And I was just like, okay, like, I'll return the bracelet. No big deal. I'm like, are we done? And she's like, not quite. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, what now? By the way, guys, this was 1 week before my birthday. This was my last shift before my birthday because I was taking time off for my birthday. I was turning 20 years old, I believe. I was turning 20 or 21. I think I was turning, yeah, one of those two. I was turning 21, you guys. I was turning 21, so this was like a big deal for me. I was so excited for my birthday, you guys. And she was like, oh, well, she's like, unfortunately, you're going to have to be put on suspension. And I was just kind of like, suspension for what? And then she's like, for all this that you just said. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, you called and asked if I did anything wrong. I've told you a couple things. Like, how am I suspended? You guys should be thanking me for even telling you guys. And she's just like, well, this is a minor procedure that we need to take. We need to be cautious. And I was just kind of like, okay. And I was just kind of like, well, how long am I going to get suspended for? She's like, until HR has decided to whether to have you stay or not. And I'm like, stay? I'm like, am I on the verge of being fired? And I was just like, what is going on? And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, why did you guys call me in here? What did you find? And she's like, we're not allowed to disclose that information. I'm like, I was like, wait a minute. They called me in to tell me that they called me in for a specific reason. They had me confess certain little things that I've done, and they still won't tell me the reason that they called me in there. Shady. S-H-A-D-Y. Shady. Do not work for a company like this, people. If they say that to you, shady. So, my advice to you people is if a company, Macy's, JCPenney, Ross, or any other luxury department store, I don't even care, Nordstrom even, and if they come to you and they say, hey, like, we want you to confess a couple wrong things that you think you've done, this is what you should say. No, the only thing I've done wrong is, like, maybe not sell a dress to a customer. If y'all want to talk, contact my lawyer. Literally, that's what you should be telling these people. Contact my lawyer if you want to discuss my my job duties or anything. And that's exactly what I should have said when I walked in there. But I'm so vulnerable, I'm so emotional, I'm so sensitive that I just released all those little things, and they found a reason to get me in trouble. So I went to HR a couple days later for the decision. And I was, oh, by the way, I was really upset that night. I went home crying. I had to go home right that second. I walked out of there crying. I went home crying. I cried to my mom. She was holding me. It was really bad, you guys. Like, really, I was really upset. Really upset. I was sobbing. It was so bad. These people made me feel like I was a criminal. And I wasn't. I was like one of the nicest people you would work with. And these people were just out to get me. And, so I went a couple of days later with the HR lady. Her name's, let's just say, Catherine. And I went with Catherine, and I was just like, okay, like, I'm here for the decision. And she's like, well, just so you know, like, we wouldn't have gotten you in trouble if you shared your discount. Like, you're not supposed to do that, but I would have let that go. The reason you're being, she's like, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, wait a minute. And I was just like, am I being fired? She's like, yes. Unfortunately, she's like, we will no longer be needing you. Your position has been terminated. And I was just like, what the hell? And I was like, wait, you're firing me. And she's like, kind of. And I'm like, for what? And she's like, well, I'm like, no. I'm like, you need to tell me what it's for. And I'm like, what did they call me about? And I'm like, oh, well, she's like, I'm not really about to say that. I'm not really allowed to say that. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the reason you're firing me? The bracelet. They were firing me, you guys, over a kid bracelet that I found on the dirty floor at Macy's that looked like it belonged to a 6-year-old. And then she's just like, oh, we are firing you for, she's like, we are firing you for this reason. I was just like, and I just looked at her and I was just like, are you kidding me? I was just, and she's like, well, I'm like, I am one of your best sales associates in this store. I am the manager's favorite, and I'm not kidding when I say that, you guys. I was literally one of the manager's favorites. I did absolutely everything. I helped train new employees. Literally, I was giving like holiday gifts to every freaking holiday all the time. And I was just kind of like, I'm like, I have given your staff gifts throughout this entire year and a half that I've worked here. I have made who knows how many transactions. I have spent over $2,000 in your company buying your product. And I'm like, everyone likes me here. I've never had a problem. I've never been into a fight. I've never stolen anything. And you're going to get me fired for a child's bracelet, maybe a kid's bracelet, maybe. It could be anybody's. You're going to get me fired because I found a bracelet and I forgot to turn it into lost and found. I'm like, that's not stealing. And I'm like, it didn't even belong to the store. It belonged probably to a person. And she's like, well, that's not the case here. You should have turned it into lost and found. She's like, and who knows? That could have been a child's. She's like, you could have stolen a bracelet from a child. And I was just like, lady? And I'm like, Catherine? I'm like, you do not care about this kid's bracelet. And I'm like, you are firing me because you are probably low on payroll. I'm like, you are finding reasons to fire people. I'm like, I am probably your 10th person being fired right now. I'm like, you people are coming up with lame excuses to let us go. And she's like, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I'm like, whatever. I'm like, you know what? I'm just like, whatever. And I'm like, let me sign the damn paperwork. I'm going to get out of here. I'm like, I'm never come back into this store ever again. I'm like, you people are crazy. And I was just like, you and your LP people. And then she's like, okay, well, I'm going to give you the option if you'd like to resign. I'm like, that's fine. I'll resign. I'm like, I told her, this ain't no way this is going to go on my record. I'm like, so yeah, I'm going to resign. So I resigned. It was like a forced resign, but I still resigned. So I was not technically terminated. And of course, if a future employer ever called them, they are not allowed legally to disclose that I was forced to resign. So they are not allowed to say the reasons why I left Macy's. So that was that, and that was insane. And guess what? I cried again. I left and I cried. My mom was in the mall waiting for me, and I cried. And she cried with me. I called my dad, and I cried to him, and my dad felt bad. Everyone felt really bad for me. Like, my cousins, like, my uncles and my aunts. They felt really, really bad because they knew... You guys, let me just tell you something. I loved this job. I loved that job. That job was like I was going to be there at that job until I finished university. That's how much I loved that job. And I loved the people. Yeah, I had a problem with that one Sydney manager, but all the managers loved me. You know, they always complimented me on my worth ethic. They always said how proud they were of me because I was coming a long way. I was working into full-time. I wanted a full-time position with them eventually. I was going to get up. I was going to get up there with Macy's. I was going to become someone successful in that company. And I felt like really betrayed when they did that to me. Now, a lot of people are probably saying, oh, like, she's lying. She's being dramatic. She really did steal a bracelet. I might have stolen a bracelet, but I didn't intentionally do it. I honestly forgot to turn it into lost and found. I honestly left it in my room and I forgot all about it. I was a teenager. Not a teenager, but I was 20 to 21. I forgot. You forget when you get busy. You guys, I was going to school full time, 18 units, working 25 hours at Macy's. That's a lot for a college student, you know? That's a lot. If I forgot a freaking bracelet, then oh well. And they didn't care about that, you know? Later on, about 5 to 10 of my friends got fired from Macy's within the next 6 months. Over petty stuff, over not getting enough credit cards. One of my friends got fired because he didn't get enough loyalties. Literally. One of my friends got fired because she was late one time. My friend got fired because she was working in the shoe department and her friend walked in, a friend that she coincidentally saw at the store, and her friend stole a pair of shoes. The friend I had, who worked there, she had no idea that her friend stole that pair of shoes. She talked to her friend right before the incident. LP saw that they were friends. So literally sorry guys, my camera died earlier. Anyways, that's pretty much what happened. So 6 months later, all my friends ended up getting fired. All different scenarios, and the ones who didn't get fired ended up leaving voluntarily, and because Macy's in my location literally turned into a freaking disaster. So I ended up texting my manager, Lisa, the one who hired me, and I told her my scenario. I told her what happened. She felt really bad for me. She didn't believe that I stole anything. She actually did take my side. She told me she wished the best of luck, and that if I needed her for anything, that was fine, and she said I could use her as a reference. So me and her ended up on good terms. I ended up telling my other managers what happened. They didn't really believe me. I mean, like, they did, but they weren't sure what happened exactly, obviously. After I was fired, like, the word got around, like, the store within, like, the next week, and literally everyone knew about it, and I don't know how people knew about it, but they knew about it, and they were asking one of my friends, like, hey, what happened? Like, why'd she leave? Why'd she get fired? And my friend was like, hey, like, I'm not saying anything. Like, if you want to ask her, you can go ahead, but she kind of, like, kept it to herself, thank God. Love her for that, but anyway, so that's kind of what happened with me and Macy's. Absolute disaster, and the worst experience I have ever had. And you're probably wondering, well, you had a good experience this whole entire time, except for when you got fired, so how does that all make it a negative experience? It makes it a negative experience because I trusted these people, I trusted the management, I trusted these people to have my back, I trusted LP to have my back, and they didn't have my back, pretty much in the end. And it was really sad because I really loved Macy's, and I loved my job. But now I knew that these people were fake and that they were really trying to get rid of everyone that they could get their hands on. Rumor had it that an LP, as if they could fire a certain amount of people, they would get like some kind of bonus. That's what I heard. That's why they kept firing so many people, because literally they would get like some kind of reward if they did. I don't know if this is true. Don't take my word on it. But that's pretty much what happened. So in the end, who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much my experience with Macy's. I hope it never happens again. Obviously, nothing similar has ever happened to like that again. If you're asking about the manager, Sydney, the one that everyone hated, it turns out after so many complaints to HR, they didn't want to get sued. So finally, revenge was complete, and karma finally nailed her in the butt. So HR called her and they said, hey, like, this is what's going on. Like, now they were trying to cover their own butts. So they said, hey, like, we could either demote you or you could resign. So literally they were going to force her to resign or they were going to demote her. She did not want to get demoted because she felt like she didn't do anything wrong. Figures. So she quit. She resigned. She is no longer allowed to work for Macy's. So perfect little revenge karma there. Don't miss her. And some of my friends who were left in that place also were very happy that she left, because they said it was a lot more stress-free when she left. So that's all the input I have about Macy's. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave a comment down below on any questions about the hiring process, the training process, or anything like that. Or if you're in a similar situation, if you have a story, then go ahead and comment it down below. Please, no negative hate. Everyone else obviously has a different experience. If you're like love Macy's, obviously, then good for you. If you love your job, good for you. That's it for me, you guys. Sorry about the whole halting video thing. My camera sucks right now. But if you want, don't forget to watch my last video on American Eagle hiring, how I got hired, the hiring process for American Eagle. And if you want to work there, go check out that last video. or my Hollister video if you want to work at Hollister. Or Macy's, obviously watch this one. Continue to watch my next videos about where I've worked. I might do another one, who knows? I might do Loft, I might do Sunglass Hut, I might do David's Bridal, who knows? So that's it for me, you guys. Don't forget to follow me on social media, links down below, also at the end of the video. My Twitter, my Instagram, and my Snapchat will be all at the bottom, and again at the end of the video. Don't forget to comment and like and subscribe for more future videos. Hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for tuning in for this week for my video. Hopefully I'll make another upload this week as well. See you guys next time. Bye!